if a single fighter plane held the key to turning the tide of World War II? What if the survival of thousands of airmen depended on it? Enter the P-51 Mustang, the aircraft that didn't just escort bombers, it changed air warfare forever. Welcome to Historical Digs, where we explore the untold stories of history's greatest machines. Flying over enemy territory, bombers soared high, their crews trusting that sheer firepower would keep them safe, until reality proved otherwise. The B-17, the legendary Flying Fortress, was supposed to defend itself, but the Luftwaffe had other plans. One brutal mission after another, squadrons of American bombers were torn apart in the skies over Europe. But then, everything changed. A sleek, fast, long-range fighter arrived. One that could fight off enemy aircraft and bring bomber crews home. The P-51 Mustang wasn't just a plane, it was a game-changer. The story begins. The U.S. Army Air Forces believed that heavily armed bombers could defend themselves. However, missions over Europe proved otherwise, with unescorted B-17s falling prey to German Luftwaffe attacks. The Allied commander's strategy involved conducting daylight bombing raids on German targets, with the first mission by a U.S. unit occurring on July 4, 1942, resulting in the loss of 2 out of 6 RAF A-20s. The stakes escalated on August 17, 1943, when 60 out of 376 American bombers were lost, primarily due to operating beyond the protective range of their escorts. Early escort missions featured the RAF Spitfire and the US AAF P-47 Thunderbolt. But even with drop tanks, their reach barely extended to the German border, leaving them vulnerable to the waiting Luftwaffe. On October 14, 1943, known as Black Thursday, another 60 B-17s were lost in a single day, with each bomber carrying a crew of 10, many of whom faced perilous odds in escaping and returning home. A fighter was needed, one with the range to accompany bombers to their targets and back. At the time, no such aircraft existed. Before we dig deeper into the P-51 Mustang story, hit that like button and subscribe to Historical Digs. Your support helps us bring untold stories from history back to life. Interestingly, the P-51 Mustang's development began over 3 years before these daylight missions and the ensuing heavy casualties. While it is commonly believed that the Mustang was conceived as an escort fighter, a closer examination of the timeline suggests that it was actually designed to be the fastest and most effective fighter of its time. North American aviation was focused on creating a superior fighter aircraft, which later adapted to meet the demands of escort missions as the need arose. As heavy bomber losses mounted, the P-51B and P-51C, known for their impressive range, were already in production and being dispatched to bases in England. Daylight bombing missions faced severe losses from Luftwaffe pilots until an escort fighter could reliably accompany them deep into enemy territory and back. The North American P-51 Mustang quickly became the preferred choice, earning the affectionate nickname Little Friends from bomber crews. The conflict of challenge. In 1940, as Britain faced a critical moment in its fight for survival, the Royal Air Force was stretched thin. The relentless assault from the Luftwaffe put immense pressure on British aircraft manufacturers who struggled to keep up with the urgent need for fighter planes. In a bid for reinforcements, Britain reached out to the United States, turning to aviation leaders like Curtiss and North American Aviation. Instead of modifying existing designs, North American proposed an innovative solution, a completely new fighter featuring a streamlined fuselage and advanced laminar flow wings. Although the prototype showed potential, it was hampered by the limitations of its Allison V12 engine, which faltered at higher altitudes. However, when equipped with a renowned Rolls-Royce Merlin engine, this aircraft evolved into one of World War II's most formidable and versatile fighters, the P-51 Mustang. With its enhanced capabilities, the P-51 emerged as the long-range protector of Allied bombers, escorting them deep into enemy territory, including missions over Berlin, and ensuring their safe return. Bomber crews were no longer vulnerable to Luftwaffe assaults. Moreover, Mustangs transformed every return flight into a chance for destruction, targeting enemy supply lines and wreaking havoc on trucks, trains, and other assets. By 1944, the Allies had established air superiority in Western Europe, largely thanks to the Mustang's contributions. Yet, despite its impressive performance and sleek design, the fighter had significant vulnerabilities that required exceptional bravery and skill from its pilots. The Mustang's impressive fuel capacity came with significant drawbacks. With a total of 485 gallons, nearly 3,000 pounds of fuel, it could hinder the aircraft's agility and responsiveness. The 85-gallon internal tank, located behind the pilot, shifted the center of gravity, complicating dogfights. Experienced pilots understood the importance of burning off wing fuel first and discarding drop tanks before engaging in combat. Otherwise, they faced a serious disadvantage against the more agile German fighters. Additionally, the Mustang's firepower was limited. Equipped with 650 caliber machine guns and 1,880 rounds, it offered only about 21 seconds of continuous fire, which fell short compared to the P-47's 32 seconds. This was often insufficient against the heavily armored FW-190s. Despite its achievements, the Mustang was not without vulnerabilities. Its loss rate per mission was nearly double that of the P-47, at 1.2%. The aircraft was especially susceptible to ground fire, suffering losses at 3 times the rate of the Thunderbolt during strafing runs. While it thrived in high-altitude escort roles, its performance in low-altitude ground support during the Korean War proved perilous. A single .30 caliber bullet could damage its radiator, leaving pilots with only minutes before engine failure. As Ed Schmood, the Mustang's chief designer, acknowledged, operating the P-51 in ground support was a suicide mission. The battles. Big Week, February 1944. In February 1944, the balance of air power began to shift dramatically as the U.S. Army Air Forces initiated Big Week, a vigorous bombing campaign targeting German aircraft manufacturing sites. The Luftwaffe, determined to protect its vital industrial regions, engaged fiercely, but the introduction of the P-51 Mustang turned the conflict into a devastating defeat for them. Mustang pilots inflicted heavy losses with their unmatched range and combat prowess, downing 17% of the Luftwaffe's most skilled fighter pilots. For the first time during the war, the once mighty German Air Force faced significant challenges in reclaiming air dominance. The Luftwaffe's capacity to fend off Allied bombers was severely diminished, exposing Germany's industrial capabilities to attack. Despite the Mustang's impressive performance, it was not without its issues. The external fuel tanks that enhanced its range also compromised its stability during dives. Tragically, Lieutenant Colonel Frederick Hitchcock, a prominent supporter of the Mustang, lost his life while investigating these concerns in a test flight on April 18, 1944. Although he did not witness the Mustang's eventual triumph, his efforts were instrumental in solidifying the aircraft's pivotal role in future engagements. March 1944, the bombing of Berlin. A month after Big Week, the Mustangs embarked on a groundbreaking mission, the first U.S. daylight bombing raids over Berlin. Before the P-51's introduction, deep strikes into Germany had proved perilous for Allied bombers, as the Luftwaffe's fighters would attack unescorted B-17 Flying Fortresses and B-24 Liberators, resulting in heavy casualties. However, with the Mustangs escorting the bombers, they engaged enemy fighters before they could launch their assaults. The aerial battles over Berlin were among the fiercest of the conflict. The Luftwaffe unleashed its full might to thwart the Americans, yet the P-51s proved formidable, downing numerous enemy planes. The successful return of American bombers to Berlin with far fewer losses highlighted the Mustang's transformative impact. As the skies over Germany grew increasingly hostile for the Luftwaffe, the Allies strengthened their position, setting the stage for the impending invasion of Europe. December 1944, the Battle of the Bulge. By the winter of 1944, the situation for Nazi Germany had become dire. In a desperate attempt to shift the momentum of the war, Hitler initiated the Ardennes Offensive, which would later be known as the Battle of the Bulge. As German troops advanced through the icy woodlands of Belgium, P-51 Mustangs were deployed for ground attack missions, targeting enemy tanks, convoys, and supply routes. Their efforts were crucial in hindering German advances and providing vital time for Allied reinforcements to arrive. The battle also had a profound impact on the Mustang's top aces. On Christmas Day, George Preddy Jr., the leading Mustang ace, was patrolling the skies over the Ardennes when he encountered a group of German fighters. As he prepared to engage, American anti-aircraft gunners mistakenly identified his aircraft as hostile and opened fire. Preddy's Mustang was struck, resulting in his death. The loss of such a talented pilot underscored the chaos and sorrow inherent in warfare. The aftermath. By the end of the war, the P-51 Mustang emerged as the most lethal Allied fighter in the European theater, credited with more enemy aircraft destroyed than any other American fighter, achieving nearly 5,000 aerial victories along with countless ground kills. Elite units like the 357th and 354th Fighter Groups ruled the skies, ensuring the Allies retained air dominance right up to the war's end. The Mustang's role in securing victory in Europe was pivotal, facilitating successful strategic bombing missions, severely weakening the Luftwaffe, and contributing significantly to the ultimate downfall of Nazi Germany. From the critical Big Week to aerial battles over Berlin and the harsh terrains of the Ardennes, the P-51 Mustang established itself as the quintessential long-range escort fighter, solidifying its status as a legendary figure in World War II aviation. Even after the guns of World War II fell silent, the P-51 Mustang's legacy continued. It remained in service with the U.S. military and air forces around the world. When war broke out again in Korea, the Mustang was called back into action, performing ground attack missions in the early stages of the conflict. However, with the dawn of the jet age, the Mustang's reign as the premier fighter came to an end. By the 1950s, it was retired from frontline service and replaced by faster and more advanced jet-powered aircraft. Reflection and takeaway. The P-51 Mustang marked a significant milestone in aviation history, symbolizing Allied air dominance during World War II. Originally designed to escort bombers into enemy territory, it transformed the air war by demonstrating that air power was as essential to victory as ground forces. With remarkable range, speed, and firepower, the Mustang enabled Allied bombers to complete their missions and return safely, altering the aerial balance of power. Beyond its wartime achievements, the P-51 Mustang established a new benchmark for fighter aircraft. Its superior agility and combat prowess not only led to triumphs in dogfights, but also contributed significantly to ground attacks, reconnaissance, and air superiority. Innovations such as laminar flow wings and the robust Rolls-Royce Merlin engine set the stage for future fighter jets, leaving a lasting impact on modern aviation. The Mustang's legacy extended beyond World War II as it continued to serve in significant conflicts like the Korean War, showcasing its versatility and lasting importance. Today, it stands as a cherished symbol in both military history and aviation culture. Air shows, museums, and private collectors celebrate its legacy, honoring the bravery of the pilots and the ingenuity of the engineers behind it. The story of the P-51 Mustang imparts a vital lesson. Innovation and perseverance can reshape history. Its influence persists in contemporary fighter aircraft, which builds on the pioneering advancements it introduced. As we acknowledge its contributions, we also anticipate the future of aviation, confident that, like the Mustang, emerging technologies will redefine the possibilities of aerial combat. The P-51 Mustang transcended its role as merely an escort fighter. It revolutionized aerial combat. Prior to its introduction, bomber crews were often doomed, facing overwhelming assaults from the Luftwaffe. The Mustang shifted the balance, empowering the Allies to dominate the skies. With its impressive range, incredible speed, and formidable armament, it effectively hunted down enemy aircraft and safeguarded bombers on their missions. By the war's conclusion, The once mighty Luftwaffe lay in ruins, and the P-51 had established itself as one of the most legendary fighters in aviation history, serving as a protective force that ensured the safe return of countless airmen. Thank you for joining us in exploring how the P-51 changed everything and saved B-17s. If you enjoy this story, give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more fascinating tales of aviation history. And don't forget to check out these other videos for more untold stories. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.